Hey everybody, welcome to Game Rambling. This is a show where we talk about games and we ramble incoherently, hosted by me, Cyrus Martin, and of
Picky
course,
old gamer.
there you go.
I had to overtalk him. I had to jump in there.
Picky Old Gamer, I am so happy we're back talking about video games and there is so much to talk about. Uh, we're just gonna go from topic to topic and whatever we feel like we're gonna hit. But man, there's been a lot going on. Uh, we're gonna do this show once a month for now, and we'll see how many episodes we go. But there's a lot more to talk about in the summer than I thought there would be. I don't know. I kind of felt like there might not be as much, but wow, so much has happened since our last show. Like, what have you been up to? Like, what have you been seeing out there that has caught your eye? Like, where do you want to start? Like, I mean, you've got the
Well, I
ball.
mean, oh, great. So you throw it yeah, throw it to me. Coming off of playing a bunch of Diablo 4 up there, my brain's kind of fried. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff, news about Tears of the Kingdom and also these showcases, which we just got Microsoft's today. But we could talk about Tears of the Kingdom and
Yeah,
see. I haven't told you anything what I've done with it, but I got it. I played it for a little while, and then I traded it in today or yesterday.
really, you traded it in already? Oh wow! So you
Um,
did everything there was to do?
no.
No.
My problem, I was going to talk about, the reception of Tears of the Kingdom is mostly everybody's praising his masterpiece, 10 out of 10, but there's not everybody who thinks that way. I mean, it is a game that it's good. It's a good game to a lot of people, but it's basically Breath of the Wild too. There's the same world with added stuff onto it. And I got to a point where I probably put, I don't know, about 20 hours into it, I guess. Maybe 15, 20 hours. I beat a couple of dungeons and did a bunch of stuff. And I got to the point where I felt like, and you can look this up, and it's not like I'm bashing it. I'm not bashing it, but there are people who are like, I'm bored with this because once you play Breath of the Wild,
Mm.
you do the same thing. Did you ever beat Breath of the Wild?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah,
And the
running
DLC.
around, going to the top. Oh, I need to go to this map, so I got to go to the tower thing to unlock the map. No, I got to go over here to this shrine and do this, and then I got to have. There's four major dungeons I got to go to, and it becomes like I've done this before, and
Hmm.
there's some people that are becoming like, and like me, I got to a point I just put the controller down, like I'm bored
Oh
because
really?
when I was bored with it, I've already done it. I've already explored that game before. I know you got the sky world and you got the underground world. I didn't care. It just was too similar. And it was a $70 game, which Nintendo kind of decided just to make it a $70 game. And of course that's a bunch of bullshit to them, but they can say all they want, but you know,
Wow.
I don't know why it was $70.
Well,
But
Nintendo, they're gonna charge.
Nintendo, they decided to, and people like me are stupid enough just to buy it. I
Well,
guess at that price, we should, it would have been nice if it was a $60 game.
they used to
But
do like back in the Super Nintendo days. They did $70 games. Like
yeah, they did. Yeah,
it.
you're right.
If they think they can get it, they're gonna try. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I mean, I'm not hating on the game. I'm just thinking that for me, and there's some people that are already bored with it, and there's some people that have absolutely loved it and are going ape shit wild with it. The build, the big building mechanics in the game is just going crazy. You just look that up. There's whole series on YouTube and places where people have built crazy contraptions. So I think it's either you love the game or
Hmm.
you don't love the game,
How
or
many?
you just are like, you're like, I'm already done this before.
Right.
So
Well, how many hours do you think you put into it?
probably about 20.
About
But
20.
Breath of the Wild, I put like 150 to 200 hours.
Right.
I
Yeah.
beat the crap out of that game. I explored everywhere. I went every place I could, beat all the bosses, beat everything. And I knew it was one of those kind of weird games because I tried to restart Breath of the Wild twice and I never could do it because I was bored with it. So
I think I put
Tears of
a
the Kingdom, I got bored with it. So
that's interesting to me. You're not the first person I've heard say basically something similar to what you're saying, where they just couldn't get into this one as much, or they after a certain amount of time they sort of got bored. John Retro Bro, he said the same thing. Like he played it for a while and then he just sort of felt like it was
I've
this.
done this.
Yeah, yeah, same thing. I haven't played it yet, so I don't really have a opinion on that, but that's very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to probably grab Game of the Year. It's going to keep going as being super awesome to a lot of people, and that's fine. But if realize the possibility that you could just be bored with it.
Right.
If you cannot play Breath of the Wild again, I would say not. Don't don't even attempt to buy this game. So
Well, I think I might be the actual audience for it because I put 180 hours into Breath of the Wild on the Switch, and I think I'm
mhm.
gonna try to play through it on the Wii U because I have it I have it on the Wii U. I just want to see what that experience is like with the pad, like
Right.
I'm curious about it. So I might I plan to do that before I play through the new one.
Yeah.
And
I
I
mean,
and I
I think there's an audience for it. For people who
yeah.
really love it, you're going to enjoy it. If like me and Retro Bro, we got bored with it. So,
Do you
you know.
think let me ask you this. Do you think that in the time between the release of Breath of the Wild and the release of this new one, you have played other games that have maybe made you feel like this experience is a little dated? Like, is there other things you've played that you feel like for John, like just an example, Elden Ring has sort of like spoiled him to where now he's like, I like Breath of the Wild, but it's not as good as Elden Ring. It's that's more like my speed. I just wonder, do you feel like maybe there's other things that have happened in your gaming experience that have sort of like moved you on or something, like, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, for me, I don't think it's that. I think it's just that it's too similar.
Hmm.
I mean, they pretty much, they had 6 years to develop on it,
Oh yeah.
and they took think about that, and they took the same world, added an underworld to it, added the Sky Islands to it. Yeah, it's a um, new story and everything, which it's a better story than this first one. I have to give it that. But when you're on the main world going places, it's like I've been here before. And
Yeah.
it's nothing can if it just kind of hits you the wrong way, like it hit me, and I just put down the controller and I was like, I'm bored. Like Retro Bro, he was bored with it.
Hmm.
There's nothing that could get you over that. If Elden Ring 2 came out and it was the same world and the same places, it would probably be panned. It'd probably be like, where's the new world? Where's the new experience? So,
Hmm.
but I think it's just one of those things that some people are going to get bored with Tears of the Kingdom, and some people are absolutely loving it and running like crazy with it. And
Yeah.
I know it's going to win tons of awards, so it is what it is.
I don't want to keep going back over the same thing here, but I'm just curious about your thoughts. Like, was there um was there like any bugs or anything that wrong with the game that sort of took you out of it, or was it more just that it was too similar?
It's too similar. The game run ridiculously good. I have to give Nintendo credit that
Hmm.
other than they patched it day one for some performance, they're pushing the Switch. The Switch is old. It needs
Yeah.
to be. We all know that we need a new Switch. We need a successor to it, but that's a whole topic on its own. Other than that, no, it ran great. The only thing that really spoiled it is there were some glitches and bugs that allowed you to duplicate your items,
Oh,
and that
really?
allowed, yeah, that you could easily just, you could easily make a lot of money and make a lot of items for the casual player that just wanted to go through the story. Say, I had to go get some in a part of the story where it's cold. I had to get some cold resistant stuff. And Tears of the Kingdom is really stingy on money. You have to really grind for it and stuff like that. And I had one or two rubies and I duplicated them, and I got myself some money, not a
Mm.
lot, just to get the stuff so I can make it easier on myself. And Nintendo has been really vigilant in patching out all these duplication glitches. And what really got me is that they left so many glitches into Breath of the Wild, but they're doing it now. And it actually was um, it was a topic, you know, big people like RGT85, other people were making videos about it. I mean, it really pissed a lot of people off, but I don't, that didn't really deter me from the whole game. It's just the game was just, it's just too similar that, you know, now I went and traded in, and wife gave me earlier my Father's Day gift, Diablo 4. That's brand new. Now, just the last couple of days, I'm sucked into it more than I was Tears of the Kingdom because it's brand spanking new. There's no rehash of Diablo 3. It's brand new. You know,
So yeah, I was gonna ask you. I saw that you got Diablo 4. Um, I don't know how far have you gotten into it? Like how much time have you put into it already, or like what?
probably under 10 hours, but you
Okay.
know, I played it late yesterday and I played it a bunch today, but it's 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 something that I'm really into. I mean, it's going to be one. I mean, I played Diablo 3 on the console and the PC with friends.
Hmm.
I beat it multiple times to where I'm going to be putting a lot of time into this. So
You know, it's funny. I paid $60 for Diablo 3 on the PS3. Uh, I've barely played it. I, it's one of those games that I've always been mad at myself about because I I bought it. It was at the very end of the PS3 life, and I bought it and I was gonna play it, but then I got a PS4 and I never really went back to it. But I keep telling myself, damn it, I'm playing that freaking game because I want to play it. I just haven't gotten around to it.
all
Um,
right.
so I've got to, you know how we are with our backlogs and promises we make to ourselves about games. It's ridiculous. I'm a terrible gamer. You know,
Though there's times where I don't. You know, I picked up Metroid Prime Remaster right before Tears of the Kingdom, and it's been shelved. And did I need it? No, I was bored and I bought a game. Will
yeah,
it be played? I don't even know if I'll ever pick it up again. Not because it's a bad game. It's just I'm going to get distracted with other stuff
right.
coming out here.
It's too much. I can't believe all this stuff that's coming out. Like, we got our new releases. Actually, I'm going to show you this. Like, okay, this is the new releases for June. I didn't list all of them. I just picked a few of the best ones. But there's a ton of games coming out in June. That's June.
Hmm.
Like, when did this start happening? It used to be there was never anything in the summer, and like now there's like all these games coming out. You know, in
Well, I
July,
mean, they
there's
had all these, you know, they had all this. I don't know, the chip shortage, and I don't know if things just took a while for developers to get caught up and, you know, console sales to start picking up. Maybe it's just time for games to start coming out and they're starting to release them in the summer. That's the only thing I can think of.
I don't know. That's a lot of games. Now, let's to be fair, a lot of these games are like they're not big games. They're like maybe like indie type games, you know. But there are
Hmm.
some big ones, you know. Street Fighter 6, Diablo 4. I mean, I put the list of, you know, the biggest ones: Crash, Team Rumble, Aliens, Dark Descent, Final Fantasy 16, Forever Skies. Crazy. Crazy the damn some of these games are huge. Some of these are really big games. Like not all of them, but yeah, there's some. It's just crazy. Like,
Yeah.
have you played Street Fighter 6 or seen any of the videos on it or anything?
I've seen some of the videos. I was a fighting game fan when I was a kid, when it was Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, up until the PlayStation 1. And
Hmm.
I burnt myself out on fighting games. There's no, and it's not just, I'm not making fun of or bashing Street Fighter. There's a new Mortal Kombat coming out. They're rebooting the whole Mortal Kombat franchise,
Yeah.
and it got showed off. And I just don't get excited for fighting games. I'm not into them anymore, but I've seen it and it's impressive and it's got some great reviews. I know Geeks with Cash. He's been playing Street Fighter 6. He said he loves it,
Really?
and he's probably going to get Mortal Kombat 1 because they're rebooting Mortal Kombat. They're going back to just calling it Mortal Kombat 1 because it went up to Mortal Kombat 11, and now they're restarting the whole series again. But to continue the story is complicated. I don't know. It looks good.
There seems to be a trend with like starting over on the naming. Like the new Forza Motorsport is just called Forza Motorsport. Like
Yeah.
I've noticed that this is happening more and more often. It's interesting. Which we can get into the showcases in just a second. I just wanted to briefly talk about these new releases. What do you think about? Have you seen this Crash Team Rumble? Like, have you seen anything about that?
Nope. I'm looking it up right now. Crash Team Rumble. Is this kind of like a Smash Brothers Melee wannabe or something?
Well,
Kinda.
let's see here. Just gonna pull this up. This is from IGN that we're gonna be looking at real quick. I got some hands-on gameplay here. It'll take a second to load. Sorry. But yeah, I hadn't really heard about it until just a few days ago. Crash Team Rumble is an upcoming online multiplayer party game. The game is being developed. Blah blah blah. Doesn't matter. Crash Team Rumble takes a multiplayer platform battle style as players compete 4v4. Here we go. Here's the. It's like Mario Party ish, I guess.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Or maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe it's more like Smash Brothers Melee, or Smash Brothers. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know how to. What is? You see what I'm? It's kind of not really like. It's kind of its own thing. It's interesting.
I wonder, it almost makes you think of Unreal Tournament or something.
You know what I was thinking was what were those games on the Dreamcast that Capcom put out that were like fighting games?
Power Stone?
Yeah.
Power Stone.
Yeah. It kind of has sort of maybe a Power Stone thing going.
Or it seems like the Garden Warfare games when they came out, they were popular. But the Plants vs. Zombie Garden Warfare, they kind of like third person and you're fighting teams and everything. Huh, interesting.
Yeah, I hadn't really heard anything about it, so that's an interesting take on the Crash series. Have you seen anything about this Aliens game, Aliens Dark Descent?
No, I've been out of the loop of some of these games. I didn't know where you found them from. I haven't had time to look at it. Pre-purchase Alien Dark. I've read stuff about this, but
okay, we're gonna pull this. This is from GameSpot right here. I think I might have said it was IGN earlier, but it's GameSpot. I go back and forth between those two sites. I think we all do.
Oh, interesting. It's an overhead type of game. Kind of like it's almost looks like Diablo, kind of overhead.
I think it's trying to load an ad on me here. Okay, here we go.
Huh. That's interesting.
Oh, it is. There we go. This trailer might just be. You know what? There's so many times these trailers are just like some pre-rendered footage.
Crap.
It doesn't really tell you anything.
Yeah.
That's one of my.
I'm watching. I actually pulled it up on Steam right now, and the trailer's playing, and it's got gameplay as well. So
okay,
that's interesting.
Yeah. Okay. So I see. It's that kind of a game. It's like that. What's that? Have you ever played those Halo games that are like point and click?
OSDT or something like that?
No.
I don't know.
Halo. I can't remember what they're called, but it's like.
These are overhead.
Yeah.
RTS games.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Okay. I don't know. I mean, for me, an Alien game should be like a first-person shooter. That's the Alien, or a beat 'em up like that arcade game, which I think is really cool. You know, that old school Aliens arcade game.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. It might be cool. I don't really get into these games that much. I need to, like, You know what kind of reminds me of is Diablo. It kind of,
I said that, yeah.
yeah, yeah. You're
It's
right. You're right.
overhead, and
You're right.
it
You're right.
reminds. Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I didn't hear you say it. I'm sorry, but yeah, it's kind of like Diablo. That's interesting. Alien Diablos. That could be cool. Um. Oh man, Final Fantasy 16. When's the last time you played through a Final Fantasy game?
A long time. I got Final Fantasy VII remake, and I made it through almost all of it, and I got bored with it because it was so pretty and so so good. But I've played Final Fantasy VII back when it was OG on the PS1, that I knew everything that was happening. If I know if it's not new to where I know have new content, I get bored with games. I guess that's why I got bored with Tears of the Kingdom. It was so similar. But Final Fantasy VII is the last one I played on the PS4, and the last one I beat, I don't remember.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are just salivating for Final Fantasy 16.
My backlog on Final Fantasy games is absurd. Like the last Final Fantasy I played all the way through was 7 on the PlayStation. Like
Yeah,
I played a little bit of 8, but I never really got very far.
I'm the same way. 8 did not capture my interest.
Yeah, it was weird. Like I just was I don't know, I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't ready. And
It's
then
too much for you. You couldn't take it.
yeah, and then Final Fantasy 9 came out when I already moved on to other stuff. Like I had a Dreamcast and I'd never played, so I never played 9. I have it digitally, but I just haven't played it. And then when 10 came out on PS2, I was going to get it, but my PS2 died right before it came out.
Oh
And
dang.
yeah, so I didn't actually play console games for a few years, like because of that. Um, that was the end of my console gaming until later on when we got another PS2, which was like 4 years later or something like that. So I really was behind. I totally dropped the ball on RPGs. Like I said, Final Fantasy VII, absolutely loved that game. Played through that whole game. Watched my friends play through that game too. I mean, I love Final Fantasy VII, but I just haven't gotten back into Final Fantasy. And it seems so
Hmm.
different now. It doesn't seem like it seems like it's changed so much now that I'm not sure I don't know how I feel about these games, you know? I'm like, do I want to
They're
play
not the
these?
same. I mean, I tried Final Fantasy 15, and
Yeah.
I didn't like it just simply because they're not turn based really anymore. They got this very interesting active battle system to where it looks like you're playing an anime, and
Hmm.
you either like that or you don't. Some people, some old school gamers, they stick to the old stuff because they like it. And some people love the new stuff. So it just depends on what you like and what if you can adapt to the new game style.
Well, I you know me, I like the old stuff. I like the cartoon looking, 16-bit stuff, and I like the PlayStation and Sega Saturn type stuff. I just haven't caught up yet. I'm not ready. I'm not. This is a theme for my gaming life. I'm not ready. Everything's moving too quickly forward. I'm like, slow down, everybody.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you ever see this Forever Skies? I saw
I
it.
looked it up and I saw a little bit of it. I can't really tell what it's like. It looks like a building game or
You know
kind of.
what? I was pretty interested in it up until I watched this event for Starfield. Now I'm kind of like, oh well, this kind of does what Starfield does, but not as good as Starfield. Uh,
Right.
in fact,
It's like
that. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, it's kind of like what they're trying to do is there's an idea and you have airships and you're going around. I mean, I'm looking at it on Steam. It looks interesting, but I really can't tell what makes it special. Sometimes you get games like that, and nothing against the game designers or anything, but you can't tell 'em- I can't tell what makes it special. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I gotta watch this stupid ad. Hang on. Come on. Okay, here we go.
Do it now. Do it. Get to the chopper.
I mean, I think it looks pretty cool. It's just kind of a simple little. I mean, I don't know how simple it is, but compared to Starfield, this is very simple. It's your single player experience on this planet and going through building stuff. And like you said, I don't know. There's like a mystery kind of thing going on. Yeah, it's pretty cool. That was sort of the problem with this showcase that we watched today for Xbox was there's a lot of games that looked interesting, but they looked like everything I saw that I liked. I saw that in Starfield later, and I was like, well, I'll just get Starfield. you know,
Exactly.
but I guess we could. You want to just talk about Starfield some? Because wow.
Yeah, that I mean, I didn't catch most of the. I was out today and with the family and having some fun, but I caught some of the presentation of the Xbox Showcase today. It was pretty good from what I could see. A few good games and wasn't bad, but then they ended it with a 45-minute just Bethesda showing off Starfield and announcing the release date, which is just 2 or 3 months away in September. And Starfield blew me away. I was hoping that Bethesda had really been putting a lot of the effort into it and good stuff like that, and they really did.
I I got to tell you, so we'll come back to the Sony thing in just a little bit, but I just wanted to talk about Starfield because, dude, I wasn't expecting to actually enjoy this Xbox event because so many times Xbox has been disappointing and Microsoft has sort of fallen short. I thought there were several games that were interesting to look at in their presentation, but Starfield, I don't know what I thought this game was going to be like, but I was very impressed. And of course, I mean, look at it. It's stunningly beautiful.
It's basically Skyrim in space.
Yeah, but better than that because let me tell you one of the things that impressed me. I mean, there's all this exploration stuff and all these tons of stuff you can do, but one of the things that really impressed me was the combat because the combat looked legit. Like
They had upgraded their combat from the Fallout games and everything. It looked like it looked like a true next gen game should look, and it looked like they had really polished the crap out of it.
yeah, I want to take a quick look at some of it because it kind of reminded me of almost like Destiny or
Yeah, it did.
something like that. Yeah, because the weapons there's like look. I mean, this is really good. This is like there's a lot of options. The weapons are very detailed. They behave differently. It's just really interesting. Like No Man's Sky was the game that I sort of was comparing this to up to this point, and not anymore because No Man's Sky is not is this is on a whole nother level. This is like way more like involved and deep. I mean, look at that. Look at that combat. That's it's like
It makes you think, oh, we're seeing a new FPS. No,
yeah.
you're seeing a new Bethesda game, and they really, they ramped up their combat system immensely.
Yeah. And the space combat looks really interesting too. There's so many. I mean, damn, look at this. It's just really, it's like a bunch of games in one. It's like, it's like,
Space simulator, exploration game,
yeah.
a first person shooter, a Bethesda, RPG, Bethesda RPG. They've taken, Skyrim and put it in space with all this extra, and like even they got into building your ships. It was ridiculous what you could do.
Oh
Not
my
just
God. Yeah. And you could board the other ships and take over the ships and then you own them and you can just build like your own fleet. And like, there's all these things like when you go to cities, like there's all these tons of interactions and things you can do. And it's so deep. It's like Skyrim, like you said, in space. It's this massive complex, fascinating world. Like they said, there's over 1,000 planets.
I think that he has 1,000 planets. Yeah, and like No Man's Sky, they use this algorithm to generate it, which it gave you. They had tens of thousands. I don't know how many planets you could actually visit, but I played the crap out of that game. I never beat it. Got to the end of it because it's so big and there's so much to do. But after a while, you get bored.
Right.
They put enough time into it. These worlds are going to be unique, and that's what one thing that's going to make it interesting is you're not going to land on something and say, this is just like that other world I landed on.
Right. And see, the combat for me, I'm going to keep coming back to that because this is what's missing from No Man's Sky. Like, No Man's Sky was like, okay, cool, I can go take a look at these worlds and there's these, creatures and there's stuff I can mine and, I can build my little fort, put all the pillows together and put the mattress and to make my little fort, what I'm, anyway. But this is like, okay, this answers the question that I kept asking myself when I played No Man's Sky, which is, what am I supposed to do? Like, what am I doing? Like, this
exploring. That's the main thing of it. Is you're trying to get to the center of the galaxy, but you're also exploring, and they've added stuff to it, a lot of stuff to No Man's Sky. But I think a lot of people, including myself, we got kind of bored with it. You did so much, and it's like, whatever it is now, I have no clue what it is now.
Yeah. But I just am very impressed with what I've seen of Starfield here. And I don't know what I was expecting, but holy crap. I hope it runs good on my Series S.
I figured they'll make it run good. It won't be as, if you're a spec whore and looking at all the frames per second, it'll run at a lower resolution, but I think it'll run fine. I'm just wondering how big the install is going to be. That's what I'm wondering.
That's the thing. Like, I have a series. Okay, so I have a Series S and it's got a 500 gig SSD. So I'm probably going to have to do something about that. So they're I don't know if you saw this, but they announced that in this event, they're bringing out a 1 terabyte black Series S, and it's $349 is what it's going to cost. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. But for me, I'm not going to buy another Series S. If I'm going to buy another, I'm going to buy Series X if I'm going to, but I don't really want to. I like my Series S. It's fine. But I guess I'm going to have to probably buy one of those memory things. Good God. Ugh. They got to do something about that. The solution to Series S owners not having enough memory is not to bring out another Series S with more memory. Like, that's cool for people that don't already have it, but for us that already have it, we need the memory. We don't need another Series S. So can we get that cheaper, please? Because it's ridiculous. It's insane.
Well, they did have a drop. I mean, yeah, it's gotten down to, they dropped it. Another 512 gigs is $90 now.
Okay. Well, that's more reasonable, but still,
yeah,
that's still
a terabytes of 150, 2 terabytes is pretty much a whole console, 279. But for you, if you really got into it, do you have Game Pass?
No, I'm gonna get it again because of this probably. But
because Starfield is going to be on Game Pass, and I pay for it for the kid to play stuff. She downloads all sorts of stuff and plays it, but that means I don't have to buy it. But for you, just get the 512 gig expansion. We'll just see how big the install is.
Right. But because I got a bad feeling about this. I feel like this whole damn game's gonna be like 512 gig.
I could see it being a couple hundred gig, to be honest. Yeah. When we've got games, Diablo 4 is 90 gigs.
Damn.
I installed that. That was a 90 gig install. And you talked about this game. Yeah, I could see it being a couple hundred gigs.
I mean, the way it looks, just good God, it's going to be big. This is next gen gaming right here. This is really, really cool. Very impressive stuff. definitely the most impressive thing for the whole Xbox conference. Which we can take a look real
Yeah,
quick.
I was looking at the conference, and the one thing that kind of disappointed me, and it's a cool little video they showed off Fable, and
Oh
that
yeah,
was
yeah,
it look, but it still looks like it's pre-rendered. I was reading IGN was I was out and about with the family riding back, and I was reading it, and they said, "Oh, it shows combat, it shows all this stuff." I'm like, people, that was pre-rendered stuff. It look, I mean, they still have it showed when it's coming out, and that's just disappointing. But then, of course, they fixed it by showing off Starfield with a release date, and I was like, "Oh, okay." So there's a lot of other stuff. There's new Star Wars game, Star Wars Outlaws, that new Obsidian game. What
yeah.
was
The
it
the
called?
the problem is
Forget about
like we were saying earlier, though. A lot of these games, they're not actually showing you the game. It's just these pre-rendered. I mean,
Yeah,
now I'm not gonna lie. The pre-rendered video is on this Star Wars game is phenomenal. You know, it looks freaking badass. But and I like the
show me the
concept.
game.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
Exactly.
mean, when they started that Starfield up and I saw the HUD and I saw them moving around, I'm like, oh shit, they're showing me the in-game game. Good. I was like, yes, this is what I want to see.
Yes.
Avowed is what is coming from Obsidian next year. It's kind of like going to be the Skyrim of Xbox until the new Skyrim comes out, or Elder Scrolls, but it looked pretty good. And it looked like it was in game, but you're right. A lot of these things they just show these fancy trailers, and Sony is bad about it too. Everybody's bad about it.
Yeah. Absolutely. There was a couple of games like the Star Wars game looks. I mean, I don't know what it's gonna be like. Hopefully, what do you? I mean, we have no idea what the gameplay is even gonna be. You know. But conceptually, I like the idea of playing. You're like a smuggler, and you got this little cute creature with you. That I think that's cool. I don't have a problem with it being a female lead. Some people be like, "Oh, Star Wars female lead." I'm like, I don't care. It's fine. Whatever. It's who cares at this point. We're the gameplay is what we're talking about. Um,
Yeah,
but like,
it seems interesting for the images and the shots I'm looking at, and
yeah,
I mean, I'm not big into Star Wars, but I know a lot of people are like they gobble up every Star Wars game if it's good. So
yeah. It's going through some of these games. It's running a little crappy on me here. Sorry. I'm gonna turn
yeah,
this.
that's a valve right there. That looks pretty good. Obsidian did a pretty good job on it, but I mean, it looks like a Skyrim. So if that's what you want, but to me, Starfield is just kind of like blowing everything else out of the water.
Yeah, that's the problem. We're comparing everything to what we just saw with Starfield. It's probably the best looking game I think I've ever seen. I can't even think of a game that looks close to that good. That's fantastic. This looks really cool. The upgrades, this thing they're doing for Flight Simulator.
Hmm.
It's not really a game, but it's cool. I wish that it's things like that that make me want to get a Series X, but I'm not going to. But still, that's pretty cool. Oh, Senua's what is it? Hellblade 2. They're not really showing you much though. Again, it's just like these pre-rendered.
Pre-rendered
Yeah,
scenes, yeah.
it's not
Oh,
really.
that's neat. What is it? What does it look like? We haven't got that yet.
So let me. I want to say something about Forza for a second. I love Forza. I own almost every Forza game. Um, I own a ton of them. But my problem is the last few Forza games, they look the same. Like I don't see any improvement in graphics or gameplay since like what Forza 7? Like since Forza Horizon or Forza 7 and the Horizon that came out after that, which I think was 3, Forza Horizon 3. Since that gameplay and graphics have really not gotten any better. And I mean they're not really showing anything here, but from what I'm seeing, this looks exactly like the other Forzas. Like
Yeah, there's a point where the when you're simulating racing, and the technology's gotten so good that
yeah.
whether it's Sony or Microsoft, they both can render ridiculously good stuff. I've I think I played a Forza with since I had Game Pass. That's out on what's out on Game Pass, and I mean it looked gorgeous.
Yeah.
But
They look,
I
oh,
think they're hitting like the pinnacle of what they can do.
yeah, I'm not saying these look bad. I'm just saying what you said is exactly right. There's a certain threshold from which point the law of diminishing returns starts to kick in, and it's like, is it better? Maybe a little, but it's not like significant. Like, once upon a time, a racing game come out and you'd be like, "Holy crap, that looks amazing!" And now it's like, yeah, it looks good, but it doesn't look better.
Does it look much better? I mean, it's not. There's not. They've pushed the technology. The technology's gotten so good. They pushed the development to the point that they use the technology to the max. There's not much they can do with it. So you're right.
And it's the same
But I
with
mean,
Sony too, by the way. Like I have Gran Turismo, the newest one, and then I had the one right before that. I think it was Sport, and then Gran Turismo 7, and they looked identical. I can't even tell the difference between them. They look the same,
yeah.
which is weird.
It's for the fans of the racing games. They want something new, and
Yeah.
that's what's going to get them there.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
What
it
what
seemed
is
like Microsoft did pretty good, but Sony a week or so back they had theirs,
Oh, we're going to take a look at that in
and
just a second, cuz
yeah,
I was going back through that cuz I didn't watch all that until today. I went back and watched some of it, and yeah, there's a couple of big things there. There's just some different things we can talk about in just a second. I just wanted to, what game is this? Oh, this is this is the online one, the Elder Scrolls Online.
yeah, okay.
Who cares about that? Nobody cares about the Elder Scrolls. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's a bunch of people that care and they're like, "Blah, blah, 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 blah. How dare you?" Yeah, this game's badass. We've established that at this point. Starfield, yes, winner of show for sure. Winner of show. Then they had some of these weird games. Did you see this game? Sort of the steampunk kind of time based. It seems like right now, you know how like it seems like in the industry when somebody gets an idea, then a bunch of other people get the same idea or something similar, and so the like this game's like got this time dynamic where you go back and forth. I've seen several new games coming out that have some sort of a time
Hmm.
thing going on. It's interesting.
Yeah, I didn't see that one. It looks okay.
They didn't really show much. Phil Spencer seemed happier. That was nice. I don't like to see sad Phil. Sad Phil makes me sad. And he was sad last time we saw him. So, there's
Yeah,
Fable that he was talking about, which you really
I mean
don't.
Fable it looked good, but I'm like that kind of disappointed me. It's like no time frame other than I think they said it might come to Game Pass. I guess day one, but it looked good from a render. But it's not like Starfield, which they showed.
When
They
was the
showed
last?
actual. Yeah.
When was the last Fable game that came out? When was that? Was it on Xbox
Uh,
360 or
Let me look here real quick.
I can't even remember when the last Fable was that came out.
Fable 3 was 2010.
Oh, really?
Fable Heroes 2012. Fable The Journey around that time. Fable Anniversary 2014. Fable Fortune. That's a digital collectible card game. So yeah, really around the mid to early 2010s. It's
Good
been a
God.
while.
Yeah, there's kids that weren't even born that are that are like in their teens now.
Exactly.
That's crazy. That's crazy. These Persona things, that was interesting too. Sega's got some kind of partnership. They've always had a close relationship with Microsoft, but they're putting out these Persona games. I don't know. I've never played a Persona game.
Me either. They're not something I really care for.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. Some games just don't appeal to me, and I get that they're really popular, but for whatever reason, I'm just not. Oh, I like his shirt. He's got a Hexen shirt. Is that saying something? Are they doing a Hexen?
I don't know. That might be something.
I just noticed that. Oh, I wonder what's going to happen at QuakeCon. QuakeCon's in August here in Dallas. I might have to go again. I haven't been in a couple years. I used to go every year. It's pretty cool that we have that in Dallas. Okay, you know what? We pretty much established winner of show for Xbox, definitely Starfield. And it was a better show than I thought it was going to be. There were some things that I saw that appealed to me. There was this one game. Let me just see if I can find it real quick. There's this one game where you're climbing. It's got this, the whole game is you climbing, basically. I don't even know where it is in this show. I can't remember where it was that I saw it, but like, it looked pretty cool. I'm not going to be able to find it. I'm sure it was like over within like just a couple minutes. There's a Persona stuff we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
No, naked guy. We're gonna get struck for that one, or whatever.
Oh no, copyright strike! Boo.
I guess they're finally doing something with the Overwatch 2. I don't know. There's been a bunch of drama about Overwatch. I don't know what is going on with that game.
That's just that game's outside my give a crap
Yeah.
scale. I mean, it's like I don't care about that.
Oh, there's this big expansion for Cyberpunk they're doing also.
Yeah, I read about that. And I'm like, it's kind of too little, too late.
Yeah.
Still to me, in my personal opinion, the game just, I think it pushed away the amount of people that really was playing it. Of course, I could be wrong. People could have come back to it. I just was like, meh.
Yeah, I'm not gonna find this stupid game. I just wanted to show it to you real quick. It's not even like anything too crazy. I just thought it looked fun with the climbing and stuff. New Fallout 76 thing. I'm like, really?
Yeah, expansion for it. Yeah, I mean, that's become a popular online. The Fallout's still going, so that's good for the people who play it. I mean, it's good that they are expanding it even more.
Yeah. Oh, Sea of Thieves. They still. What do you think of that? You ever play Sea of Thieves?
I didn't care for it. I mean, I didn't care for it from what I saw. I wouldn't play it. I don't have any care. I just don't. It's just not my. It's not my jam.
Yeah. This is a game series that my brother tried to get me into really hard, and I just couldn't get into it. This Payday series, yeah. I just couldn't get into it. It just felt like Left 4 Dead Light.
Gotcha.
Okay, I'm not gonna find it. I'm looking, but
I don't think you're gonna find it, man.
All right,
you'll find it later tonight or something, or tomorrow. You'll be like, here it is.
Okay, so the PlayStation Showcase. This is like the best trailers supposedly from the thing. So the first one they're showing here is Snake Eater, the Metal Gear Gear 3 one. Which how the hell
did a remake it?
How are they remaking Metal Gear 3 if Hideo Kojima doesn't even work there anymore? Like, what is this?
I don't know. They're just going to make sure, I guess, it's as close to the source material as it can be, as far as I can tell.
Is it really Metal Gear, though, if Hideo Kojima's not involved?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
I never was a Metal Gear fan, but I get what you're saying. Without Hideo Kojima, you don't really have Metal Gear. So,
I mean, to me, that's just how I feel. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's like Star Wars without George Lucas. It's like it's still Star Wars, sort of.
it's just Mickey. It's Mickey Star Wars.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be too critical. I just want to see this. This is pretty cool. This is a pretty cool little teaser. They don't really show anything, but it's like a cool little teaser.
Yeah.
I never played through this one. I never played through Snake Eater. So I might do that. I might play through the new one. Oh my god. Now, this game was the best game of their show. This was their game of show. Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man.
This is unbelievably cool. Like, it takes Spider-Man, Venom, Miles Morales, all of that, puts it into this. You can go back and forth between the characters. The combat is ridiculously cool. Like, this looks badass. This is great. I still haven't played through the first one, so I've got to do that. I finally did the upgrade for it for my PS5 because it was on sale to upgrade it. But I haven't gotten around to playing through it yet. What do you think about the Spider-Man stuff?
It looks good. I'm not really into the games, but it looks amazing. I think they've probably got another mega hit on their hands, and it's one of the things that Sony can sit there and show off, and in the quote console wars or the Microsoft versus Sony thing for the fanboys. That's one thing they could just sit there and show off, and it's like, this is ours. You will never have this, and it looks good. It looks like more great Spider-Man gameplay.
It looks great.
So
I love that Xbox is finally getting something with Starfield that I think is like worthy of this competition between Microsoft and Sony. Finally, dude, I feel like there's a big game coming out for Xbox that is like on the same level as what Sony has and what and what Nintendo has too, you know?
And of course, you can make that argument if they hadn't bought them, it would have, Starfield would have been on Sony as well. But they bought them, and here we are, with our first big exclusive for Microsoft, and it's going to be a big one.
Yeah, it's going to be a big one. Dude, when I start playing that damn Starfield game, I that's one of those games you can get lost in. Like, that looks like a game I will just play and play and play. Like, when I did that with the Breath of the Wild when it came out on the Switch. Like, I just was every day I got home from work, I played. That's all I did was play Breath of the Wild
because it was new and it had this huge world you want to explore.
Yeah. And I think that's what when you were talking about how you sort of felt like the new one was sort of the same experience. Since we spent so much time in Breath of the Wild, for us, we're going to be like, we're looking for something more because we've already done that,
Yeah.
So I definitely understand where you're coming from with that.
And for some people, there's so much, they love Breath of the Wild so much that Tears of the Kingdom was just another slice from that awesome cake, and they're just devouring it.
Absolutely.
So, and it's just a personal preference, and my personal preference was I've already done it too much, and I'm kind of done with it. But to each their own. But this Spider-Man looks really good. But it really was a weaker showcase. It really got panned by a lot of gamers.
Yeah, I other than Spider-Man, like, was there anything else you can think of that sort of stood out? Oh, Alan Wake 2.
Alan Wake 2, I mean, that kind of looked interesting, but it really didn't just show you a bunch of really great games. And they didn't have some big game show off like Starfield. So I mean, it wasn't a bad showcase. It wasn't what I think a lot of gamers were hoping for from Sony.
Right.
Past the I'm not trying to say the Spider-Man game. But they had one thing that Sony showed that was really stupid, was that stupid handheld.
Oh my God, let's talk about that. Yeah, I've got to what the hell is this thing? What?
It's some stupid screen wrapped around a PS5 controller, and the only thing it freaking does is stream your PS5 games. So if you're on a shitter, you can go. I can be playing Diablo while I'm in the shitter upstairs. I'm like and I was like, a lot of people are saying the same thing, and it's true. You could do that now on your freaking phone. They
Yeah,
have they have second screens, so why do I need to buy something brand new for it? Does it do PS Now? Streaming? Like, no.
remote play has been a thing since the
PS
since
PS4. I mean,
well, no, the PSP did with the
oh yeah,
with the
yeah,
PS3. It did remote play that way. They've had remote play since whoa. I mean, good God, what is that? 15 years? But
yeah. And this is something they're showing off. Like, look at this new piece of hardware. It does exactly what your cell phone does.
what the hell?
Okay, It's got 8 inch, 8 inch screen. Okay. I mean, the only advantage is that you get the DualShock 4, excuse me, DualShock 5. I guess that's good. No, it's not DualShock 5. What do you call the new one?
The DualSense, the DualSense.
DualSense. You get a DualSense controller on it. That's the only advantage of it. The only advantage. You can,
I just
I could sit there right now, install something, and play. I could be playing Diablo on my phone.
look at this. It's like they stretched the controller out and squeezed the tablet in the middle of it. Like,
Yeah, that's it. And that was the stupidest thing. They showed off a new bunch of or a new set of earbuds that are supposed to be really good, and that's kind of cool. I mean, especially if you're a gamer that might want to, some gamers listen to the games through headphones or earbuds. They don't just play them through the TV.
I
But that's
want.
one thing we were talking about. I know we'll go back to Starfield just a little bit. They introduced a brand new headset. that's
Oh
that's the
yeah, they did. I saw that. Weird looking headset, but interesting. It just
Oh,
weird.
they are, and also that pre-order. It comes with the watch that you
Okay,
got in the game.
let's see if we can
Oh
find.
wow!
I'm gonna go. We got it since we're talking about it. I'm just gonna find it here real quick. If I can find it, where is it at? Where is it at? Where they're talking about the headset and the. It's so hard to find things when you're looking for them.
Oh, it always is. But if you wanted the pre-order for Starfield and everything else that came with it, it's $299. It's a console.
$300. Good God, that's what they do now. Like, oh, was that it right there? I think I just passed it. Yeah.
Yeah. Now there's a controller too. The controller's already available if you wanted it. It's Best Buy still got it. Let me see.
Yeah, there's the controller. They said the controller's based on the something in the game. I can't remember. And then here's the headset.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, they have that headset and Sony has their new earbuds. So I'm just saying I had that comparison in my head, but
Honestly, I kind of think that headset is ugly, and the controller.
it is kind of, yeah. Oh, the controller looks kind of nice. The headset is a little gaudy for me. I don't like
Yeah.
headsets like
The,
that, but I don't play them. But they're pretty good. The watch thing is a little overdone.
the
I mean, you
watch.
get that high.
Where's that watch at? Oh, here's it. Look at this case they made for this watch.
Yeah.
That's. I mean, it's kind of cool. It is kind of cool. You imagine taking your lunch in that to work.
I got this with my game.
But the watch.
I mean,
don't know.
it's a smartwatch too. It's got everything. It does all sorts of stuff, but it's not worth that, especially when I can play the game on.
See, what would be cool? What would be cool is if the watch did something with the game, like you could let the game do stuff, and you could see your updates on your watch. Like if you're having it, like they said, you could set your stuff to automatically like mine resources or whatever, and like
Yeah.
you could like have the game running on your Xbox, and then you go to work and you got your watch, and while you're at work, it's giving you updates on stuff, and you can send commands.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Yeah, that would
Yeah,
be
that-
freaking cool.
yeah.
Yeah. Then I'd be
But
like,
I mean, yeah. This stuff is cool. I mean, it's just it's new. It's skins. It's all it is.
Yeah.
It's skins for stuff. People like to collect controllers, but that handheld with Sony was the stupidest thing I've
Yeah.
ever seen. I've seen it a long time.
I, what I,
That was just
what I want to know
ugh.
is these earbuds. What kind of microphone do they have? Because every microphone that Sony has ever put out has been absolute abject shit. Like they have never put out any kind of good microphone on anything related to their consoles. Like now, I'm not like Sony makes fantastic microphones, just not for their consoles. And and so I'm just wondering, like, are these earbuds? What's that going to be like? I don't know. Because any headset I've ever had, and I've had several headsets for PlayStation, they sound great, but the mics are trash. They're
I don't
absolute
understand
trash.
that. I just don't understand how you could do that.
I don't know. Why would you do this? Who is this for? How much is this supposed to cost?
Nobody knows. I guarantee you the damn thing's at least $200, if not more. And I'm like, if it's more, if it's around $250, that's the most laughable freaking thing I've ever seen in my life.
Who wanted
From
this? Who asked for this? Who was like, oh, you know what would be, I mean, the PS5 is cool, but you know what would be great is if there was a controller with a giant screen on it that only worked at your house that you connected to your PS5 that you could play on. What? Like
yeah, I mean that the whole thing is makes no sense. It's like redundancy.
it looks terrible
People,
too. It
you
looks
get those little holders that clip to your phone, and you could clip it to your Xbox controller, PlayStation controller, and just sit there. If
yeah.
I really wanted to, I could be sitting there right now upstairs. That my family they're probably sitting there watching TV. I could sit there and play PS5 to my Android phone, and just if I had a controller, click one of those little setups, I could be playing Diablo. What
Yeah.
this is no different, and it's redundant.
Nintendo's going to put out a new handheld. We're expecting them to finally announce something either at the end of this year or next year because it's
Well,
time.
no telling with them.
If they do this
It's
shit though,
time.
like if if Nintendo's like, "Hey, we're going to put out a Wii U gamepad for the Switch."
Yeah,
It'd be
yeah.
like
All it does is stream. Yeah,
wait a minute. What? This like why would Sony do this? What who hell who was I just don't understand. Like who was the executive who was like, "Yes, make it happen." Like, what? We will beat everyone to the market. Sir, they already had this with the Wii U. What? We can already do this with regular tablets and tablet controllers. Huh?
yeah.
What? Who? Huh?
I
This
don't understand it. It just boggles my mind why this thing is going to exist. I looked at it. I saw it like when that showcase came out, and there was an announcement. Yes, it is the Q or whatever. I'm like, oh shit, they're showing off a little handheld. Then I read it. I sat there and I squinted at it, and I was like, what? It can't be right. And that's all it is a streaming device. So
I
it
think
doesn't even do the online stuff like
it's
PS Now.
yeah, what? This makes no sense.
If it did PS Now,
Mm.
it'd be like, okay, I'll go out and about. You have a really good, and especially in cities that have these high end connections, they'd be like, okay, yeah, I could play PS Now on the go. Okay, I get home, I connect to my PS5 and play my games anywhere, so the family can have the TV. Okay, that's maybe 199 or something. That's got some decent tech in it just for streaming. Okay, no, this thing just does one thing. Hmm.
I don't know. I mean,
Well, I don't
as
know how much we can bitch about it, but
yeah, I mean, the only thing I'll say is, as a Sony fan, if they were going to do a handheld, I mean, I don't know how successful any handheld would be from Sony because it is what it is. But if they made like a new, real handheld, then that I could be like interested. But I don't even know because Sony doesn't support their crap like that. Like, so I don't know.
they abandoned it too quick.
Yeah, we know it. We all remember what happened. The Vita was it was a great little system. It just wasn't quite good enough, and it cost way too much for the memory cards and for the system. And then they killed it as soon as it started to maybe have a chance. They killed it, and it was like, okay. I remember that Killzone came out, and it was like, oh wow, look what this thing can do. And then we're bringing out a new model. Oh, cool! There's a new model, and then we're killing it. You're like, oh, what?
Sony gives they'll put all the effort into their consoles, but their handhelds. And now that the Switch exists, for pretty much Nintendo's has console slash handheld. Nobody should be putting out a handheld, and not even this streaming piece of crap. I mean,
This looks like a face that's like making a like a sound like
this, yeah. This thing shouldn't be more than $99. You know, like a controller plus a screen with a little bit of a battery in there and some Wi-Fi technology to allow you to sync, maybe Bluetooth to allow you to sync. But if they sell it for $150, $199, somebody's an idiot.
It's gonna be $199. I already know. I can tell.
Yeah.
That ain't gonna be less than. It'll be $199 for that, and nobody will buy it. And Sony will. What really sucks is nobody will buy it because it's weird, and Sony will then say, "Oh, well, this proves there's no interest in mobile gaming for us, or whatever, you know, for a handheld from us." Like, no, Sony. But that's how they'll do it. They'll interpret it that way and be like, "Yep, well, I guess that, you know, whatever. It is what it is." Anyway, okay, real quick. Let's see. We touched on the Xbox, the PlayStation. We touched on pretty much everything, except we didn't really talk about this weird thing that happened with Dolphin. And because Dolphin, I was really enjoying having Dolphin running on my my Xbox Series S, and then they took Dolphin, they took the emulators
Development.
Yeah, they forced you to use developer mode, which the only way but you can't really use developer mode because if you don't develop something, they'll take it away from you. So you can't really use developer mode. So now I really can't use emulators on my Xbox, which sucks. But in newer news regarding Dolphin, yeah, Nintendo prevented Dolphin from being listed on Steam. Did you hear about all this?
Yeah, I read something about it. I wanted your feedback before I gave my feedback.
Okay.
I think
Let me go into it a little then. Let me do that. So my immediate reaction was, oh, here we go, Nintendo being Nintendo. Until I found out what happened. Until I found out why Dolphin was prevented from being listed on Steam. So the Dolphin people were like, hey, we're submitting this to be on Steam, and the people at Valve were like, okay, well, let's just email Nintendo or contact Nintendo and just say, hey, is this cool with you? Like, we're going to do this. Is this cool? And of course, the only answer Nintendo can give to that question is no, that we're not cool with this, because they don't like emulation anyway. But the real reason they're not cool with it is because, I'm sorry, these devs who made Dolphin, I can't understand the incompetence of these guys, because they built into Dolphin the encryption keys for the Wii, for the games for the Wii. The copyrighted encryption keys that were those actual keys were not part of the Wii itself. Those were on the discs for the Wii games. They're copyrighted content, and they baked that into the source code of Dolphin. And they were warned over 2 years ago that they needed to take that stuff out because it was like a ticking time bomb, because that's copyrighted stuff. You can't do that. Nope. Everybody had, for all these emulators that have come out for years and years and years, if you need something to make the games work, you have to go get a BIOS, right? And so for years and years and years, it's like, okay, don't put the BIOS with the emulator. Make the people go find their BIOS, or somebody can like reverse engineer a BIOS, and then that's okay. Mm-hmm. But like, For the actual, copyrighted stuff, you can't put that in there because that's going to get you obviously taken down. Nintendo has known about this. Nintendo, everybody's like, oh, Nintendo must have all these people investigating all this stuff. Nintendo's aware of this problem. Nintendo didn't do anything about it though. They were like, people want to act like it's Nintendo being Nintendo, but I'm like, Nintendo wasn't going to do anything about this. They even knew about this problem until Valve goes to them and says, is this okay? And of course, at that point, Nintendo has to say no because they have to protect their assets. So I'm on Nintendo's side here. Because what choice did they have? What were they supposed to do? Just act like everything's cool and pretend like, oh yeah, you can use our copyrighted shit that's built into your emulator, and then give that permission and then set a precedent so that from that point forward, they're not going to do that. The can of worms that would open, holy crap, that would expose Nintendo to anybody and everybody just taking their shit and claiming it and being able to be like, well, here's a precedent you said it was okay. So Nintendo had no choice. And I don't think Steam wanted to put it up anyway, which is why they asked Nintendo that question. I think the people at Valve, they knew exactly what the response was going to be before they asked that question. And that there's a reason they asked Nintendo that question, and it's because they didn't want to have to tell the people at Dolphin no. They knew what they had done. They didn't want to have to tell them no, so they just asked Nintendo and had Nintendo be the bad cop,
Right. I didn't know all of that. That makes perfect sense. I mean, if it was just an emulator, I would even have went to Nintendo. I'd have put it up there and been like, "You'll get over it." They wouldn't have any claim to it because all you have to say is this is a piece of software that emulates. It's for demonstration purposes only. We do not, and that's how emulation keeps going. Is Nintendo or Sega or whoever else. I mean, there's Switch, there's Switch emulators, there's Sega emulators, there's Xbox emulators out there. I mean, they can't go after them because they do it correctly. It's just a piece of software that's developed and said, this is for demonstration only, and we're not including the games or the BIOSes and stuff. But this sounded pretty stupid on Dolphin's fault.
Well, yeah, dude. Like, why did they do that? These guys that have been making Dolphin, like, this has been known. This is not something that just all of a sudden, like, they've known. I mean, they put them in there. They put the encryption keys in there, and then people came in after the fact years ago and were like, dudes, no, you can't do that. In fact, let me just say this. I think that's incredibly irresponsible to the rest of the emulation community, because when you do something like that and you put that emulator out there and then you try to put that emulator out there on Steam and knowing that you've got this problem and then it gets addressed in public by Nintendo and by Valve, you create this huge amount of controversy about emulators. You're making it more difficult for other developers to be able to do emulation and get their emulators listed on major platforms, or even in the past, like there's been guys who have made emulators who ended up getting hired by like Sega. Sega hired what was that guy who did Kega?
I remember that.
Yeah. So this is why I'm saying I'm very disappointed in these devs, because why would you create this situation? Why would you do this? It's stupid. It's so stupid.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, I understand you can't figure out how to get your emulation to work, so you put the keys in. I get it. You wanted the emulator to work, so you put the keys in. I get it. But you can't do that and then distribute it. You have to. That's why every other development group that has worked on emulators like that makes it to where you have to go get a BIOS, or
those keys should be somewhere on the internet. Go find it somewhere else,
right?
And be like, we're everything we done is our code. It's for demonstrations only, or it's a good little experiment we're working on, and there you go. And then some people go, okay, I'll go over here and download the keys, and then it's still off the Dolphin. You can't go after Dolphin. But yeah, this is stupid
Yeah, I
on
mean,
their part.
well, why didn't they just bake in games while they're at it? If they're going to bake in the encryption keys, just put the whole game in. Why not? What's the problem? I don't understand. What's the problem? You know?
I know. I get what you're saying.
It's like, ugh. And then it just bothers me that so many people don't understand or don't want to understand that this is the devs of Dolphin's fault. This is not Nintendo overreaching and being the evil empire. This is these guys being stupid and trying to, and just didn't care, or I don't know. I can't understand why they would try to get away with this for this long and not do anything about it. So weird. Just
I don't know.
Lazy and stupid.
They're complacent. They haven't been struck with a takedown really to take that stuff out, and then when they do, they're going to have to back out, recompile it and take all that stuff out, and it'd be like, you should have done that in the first place. Then you'd be legit. Then you could go to Valve and say, hey, Dolphin, we're going to put it on Steam, and then it doesn't matter if Nintendo doesn't like it. They don't have anything they have no basis to file a claim.
Right. It's just so stupid, so disappointing, because dude, that emulator is badass. I've used it. I can't even tell you how many videos I've made or how many times I've played GameCube games using that emulator. I love that emulator. It ran great on my Xbox until it got taken away. I love it. But now that I know this, and now that everyone knows this because these morons couldn't fix their bullshit, now it's like, well, I don't want nothing to do with Dolphin, fuck that. Fuck these guys. Because like I said, look at the position they put every other developer into. I mean, that's shitty, man. I'm sorry. That is some lazy, stupid shit. That anyway, you get me talking about stuff, but I just don't understand. I just don't get it. It is what it is. Anyway, do you have anything you want to wrap up with here at the end, other than me bitching about Dolphin and making people mad at me? I mean,
no, I think like I said, we're seeing that even with Sony and Spiderman and other games are showing off, and with Xbox and Starfield and other games are showing off, it's starting to shape up to be a pretty good year for gaming.
Yeah.
So go out there and find your best, your favorite game you want to play and start playing, because there's a lot of good stuff coming out or it's already hit.
Yeah, look at all this. This is July. It's not as much in July. August, there's quite a bit. Double Dragon Rise of the Dragon comes out in July. That's cool. Pikmin 4. In August, we get, what is Texas Chainsaw Massacre? I don't know if that's going to be good or not, but WrestleQuest. You like wrestling games?
I guess.
A lot of people like wrestling games. It's very popular. Oh, Baldur's Gate 3 comes out in August. How about that? And then we get into September, and of course we know what September is all about. We know what's going to happen in September. Who gives a shit about anything else that happens? Starfield comes out in September.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway. Well, dude, thank you once again for joining me for this show, Game Rambling. I'm very happy that we're doing our new season here, and we've got a few more episodes that we'll get through, and we'll see how it goes.
Been fun.
Any chance of you coming doing anything else on YouTube, or not really? No. Okay. No. I'll leave it alone.
No, there's no chance of me doing that because I'm fine.
Okay.
Where I'm at.
Fair enough. I have to try. Okay. Well, anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us as we ramble about video games. We'll be back again soon. But for now, I'm Cyrus.
And I'm Picky O Gamer.
and we will see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.